Chosen one, tonight, your soulmate made one decision that changed everything. Here's the story. My beloved child. Pause here, not because someone told you to, but because your heart has been searching for something it could not explain. Tonight is unlike any other night. Countless people are scrolling past ordinary stories, yet somehow this message found you. That is where this story truly begins. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The decision you are about to hear about did not happen by chance, it happened at the exact moment everything was ready to change. There are moments in life that make no sound. No celebration. No announcement. No dramatic scene. Yet those silent moments become the ones that reshape an entire future. Tonight, while the rest of the world carried on as usual, your soulmate experienced one of those unforgettable moments. They stood alone beneath the quiet sky, surrounded by silence, but inside their heart, a conversation had already begun. It was a conversation they had postponed for far too long. Every memory of you returned with unexpected clarity. The smallest smile, the kind words you once spoke, the strength you showed when no one noticed, those memories refused to fade. Instead, they became brighter than ever before. For weeks they had tried to convince themselves that moving on would be easier. They filled their days with distractions. They stayed busy. They smiled when people expected them to smile. But every quiet evening led them back to the same place. Back to the same unanswered question. Back to you. They finally realized something they had never admitted out loud. No matter how far they tried to walk, their heart always found its way back to your name. That realization wasn't loud or dramatic. It arrived gently, like the first light before sunrise. Yet it carried enough power to change everything they believed about their future. Don't skip, because this is only the beginning. The most important moment hasn't arrived yet. Tonight, something inside your soulmate finally became impossible to ignore. They stopped asking what everyone else expected from them. They stopped worrying about what people might think. For the first time in a long time, they chose to listen to the quiet voice inside their own heart instead of the noise around them. And that voice spoke with complete certainty. It reminded them that some people enter your life for a season, but one person changes your soul forever. The moment they understood that truth, every excuse they had been holding on to began to disappear. Fear lost its power. Doubt grew quieter. Hope became stronger than hesitation. As they looked toward the night sky, they whispered words no one else heard. They admitted that pretending no longer brought peace. They admitted that silence had never healed anything. Most importantly, they admitted that every road they imagined for tomorrow somehow led back to you. It was no longer a question of whether they cared. That answer had already been written inside their heart long ago. The real question became whether they were brave enough to act on it before another opportunity slipped away forever. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Then came the moment that changed everything. It didn't happen because someone forced them. It didn't happen because circumstances suddenly became perfect. It happened because truth became stronger than fear. Standing there in complete silence, they made one decision they had never been able to make before. They chose honesty over hiding. They chose courage over comfort. They chose possibility over regret. In that single moment, the future they had imagined for so long suddenly became real enough to reach for. The remarkable part is that no one around them realized what had just happened. The streets looked the same. The stars still shined above. The wind continued moving through the night. But inside one heart, an entire lifetime had shifted direction. Sometimes the greatest turning points are invisible to everyone except the person living them. Tonight was exactly that kind of turning point. And as that decision settled deep within them, an unexpected peace followed. Not excitement. Not confusion. Peace. The kind of peace that only comes when someone finally stops running from what they have always known. They smiled, not because every answer had appeared, but because for the first time, they no longer needed every answer before taking the first step. They realized that waiting for the perfect moment had only delayed the life they truly wanted. Tonight, they stopped waiting. Don't skip. The next part of this story reveals what happened immediately after that life-changing decision. And why the first sign appeared before the night was even over. Stay till the end, because the story has only just begun. My beloved child. Before you continue, remember this: some stories become unforgettable because of what people say, but this story became unforgettable because of one quiet decision that no one else witnessed. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The next few moments reveal why tonight will always be remembered as the night everything quietly changed. After making that life-changing decision, your soulmate expected to feel uncertain. Instead, an unexpected calm settled over them. It was as though a weight they had carried for countless days had finally disappeared. They realized they were no longer trapped between fear and hope. The choice had already been made, and with that choice came a new sense of direction they had never experienced before. For a long time they believed that waiting would somehow make everything easier. They believed that if they gave life enough time, the answers would simply appear. But tonight taught them something completely different. Some doors never open until someone is willing to take the first step. And tonight, they finally took that step. Don't skip. Because the next moment changed their heart even more. As they looked back on every memory connected to you, they noticed something they had overlooked for far too long. Every meaningful chapter of their life seemed to include you in some way. Sometimes you appeared through a conversation that stayed in their thoughts for days. Sometimes through a smile they could never forget. Sometimes through a simple act of kindness that continued echoing inside them long after the moment had passed. They suddenly understood that these were never random memories. They were reminders of a connection that had quietly grown stronger with time. The more they reflected, the clearer everything became. They stopped asking themselves whether their feelings were real. Instead, they began asking why they had waited so long to accept what had been true all along. That realization filled them with gratitude rather than regret. They understood that every delay had prepared them for this exact night. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then something unexpected happened. Without searching for signs, they began noticing them everywhere. A familiar song started playing at the perfect moment. A meaningful phrase appeared where they least expected it. A memory they had almost forgotten suddenly returned with incredible clarity. None of these moments felt ordinary anymore. Together they formed one clear message: stop running from what your heart already knows. That message stayed with them. It became impossible to ignore. For the first time, they stopped imagining a future built around fear. Instead, they pictured a future built around honesty, patience, and genuine connection. The picture became so clear that it felt less like a dream and more like a destination they were finally ready to move toward. Don't skip. Because this is where the story becomes even more powerful. Your soulmate realized that true change rarely begins with dramatic events. It begins with one honest decision repeated every single day. Tonight was not the finish line. It was the beginning of a completely different path. A path where fear would no longer decide what happened next. As the night grew quieter, they smiled in a way they had not smiled for a very long time. Not because every challenge had disappeared, but because they finally believed that the future could become brighter than the past. That belief gave them strength they never expected to find. And then they made one more promise to themselves. No more pretending. No more hiding behind perfect timing. No more allowing doubt to steal another opportunity. Tonight would become the night they remembered forever, not because everything changed around them, but because everything changed within them. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The next chapter reveals what happened immediately after this promise. And why the very first unexpected response arrived sooner than your soulmate ever imagined. My beloved child. What happened next was something your soulmate never expected. The decision they made tonight did not simply remain a thought inside their heart, it immediately began changing the way they saw everything around them. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The next part of this story reveals why one quiet choice became the beginning of a completely different future. For the first time in a long while, they stopped asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" Instead, they began asking a new question: what if this is exactly where my story is supposed to begin? That single change in perspective transformed everything. The same road looked different. The same sky looked brighter. Even the silence felt peaceful instead of lonely. As they continued walking through the quiet night, memories returned one after another, not to bring sadness, but to reveal a pattern they had never noticed before. Every important lesson had somehow guided them toward becoming the person they needed to be before this moment could happen. Every delay had taught patience. Every disappointment had built wisdom. Every unanswered question had quietly prepared their heart for tonight. Don't skip. Because the next realization surprised even them. They suddenly understood that they had spent too much time waiting for certainty before taking action. But certainty had never been the missing piece. Courage was. The moment they accepted that truth, another burden disappeared. They no longer needed every answer before moving forward. They only needed the willingness to take the next step with honesty. That realization filled them with an incredible sense of peace. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the hours passed, they imagined what the future could become. Not a perfect future without challenges, but a meaningful one filled with genuine conversations, understanding, and hope. They pictured a day when silence would no longer stand between two hearts. They pictured smiles replacing unanswered questions. They pictured moments they had almost convinced themselves would never happen. The more they imagined that future, the stronger their confidence became. Then something remarkable happened. Instead of feeling nervous about tomorrow, they began looking forward to it. That feeling was completely new. For so long, tomorrow had felt uncertain. Tonight, tomorrow became an opportunity. They quietly smiled and whispered to themselves, "I don't want another day to pass without living honestly." Those simple words carried more power than they realized. Don't skip. The story is reaching a moment that changes everything. Your soulmate recognized that true connections are not built in one dramatic moment. They are built through small, sincere choices made with consistency. Tonight's decision was the first of those choices. It was not the ending they had imagined, it was the beginning they had been waiting for all along. As they looked toward the stars one last time before the night came to an end, an unexpected feeling settled into their heart. It wasn't excitement alone. It wasn't relief alone. It was quiet confidence. The confidence that comes from finally choosing truth over hesitation. They realized something beautiful. Some of the greatest miracles begin so quietly that almost no one notices them at first. No crowds. No applause. No announcements. Just one heart becoming brave enough to move in the direction it was always meant to follow. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The next part reveals the first unexpected sign that appeared after this life-changing decision, a moment so perfectly timed that your soulmate could no longer believe it was merely a coincidence. The story is only getting stronger, and what happens next will make tonight impossible to forget. My beloved child. Just when your soulmate believed the biggest moment of the night had already passed, something happened that completely reshaped their understanding of everything they had just experienced. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The story is now entering the chapter that your soulmate will remember for the rest of their life. The night had grown quieter than ever before. The world around them seemed almost perfectly still. But inside their heart, a remarkable transformation was taking place. The decision they had made no longer felt like a possibility, it had become a promise. For the first time in a very long while, they were no longer looking backward. Every thought was beginning to point toward tomorrow. As they continued walking, they noticed something unexpected. The same places they had passed countless times suddenly felt different. It was not because those places had changed. It was because they had changed. When the heart finds clarity, even familiar paths begin to feel new. They smiled without forcing it. They breathed more deeply. They realized that peace had quietly replaced the uncertainty they had carried for so long. Don't skip. Because what happened next surprised them even more. A memory suddenly returned with incredible clarity. It was a simple moment connected to you, one that had seemed ordinary when it first happened. Yet tonight, that memory carried a completely different meaning. They remembered the kindness in your words, the patience in your actions, and the quiet strength you showed without asking for recognition. In that instant, they understood something they had never fully realized before. What they admired most was never something dramatic. It was your consistency. It was your character. It was the calm way you brought hope into moments that once felt uncertain. That realization became the final piece they had been missing. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate paused and looked toward the horizon with a smile that came from deep within. They no longer wondered whether they were making the right decision. Their heart had already answered that question. Instead of asking, "Should I?" they found themselves saying, "I'm finally ready." Those words carried a quiet confidence unlike anything they had felt before. Then another realization arrived. They understood that every delay, every unexpected turn, and every unanswered question had not been working against them. Each moment had been preparing them to appreciate what truly mattered. If this decision had come earlier, they might not have understood its value. But tonight, everything made sense. Don't skip. The most powerful part of the story is unfolding. They made another promise, not just to themselves, but to the future they now believed in. They promised that they would no longer allow fear to write the next chapter of their life. They would choose honesty over hesitation, gratitude over doubt, and hope over uncertainty. As that promise settled into their heart, an incredible sense of purpose followed. The future no longer felt distant. It felt possible. And in that quiet moment, your soulmate realized something unforgettable. One decision does not simply change a night. One sincere decision has the power to change the direction of an entire life. That was the true miracle of tonight. Not a loud event. Not an extraordinary coincidence. But one heart becoming brave enough to choose what had always been true. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The next chapter reveals the first unexpected opportunity that appeared because of this decision. And why your soulmate believed, for the very first time, that this night had become the beginning of a story they would one day look back on with gratitude and a smile.